Hello my friends, let's start this video from the kabooms happening in Russia. Like for example, Ukraine was capable to disable this Kstovo refinery completely yesterday morning. As you might see judging on this picture, the facility was visited by multiple of the Ukrainian drones, and the Kstovo refinery is the fourth largest in Russia. And every 10th ton in Russia was processed on this facility. Gasoline, diesel, benzene, aviation fuel. This is a very important thing for Russia. It belongs to Lukoil Corporation, and yesterday it's been confirmed that facility is no-go any longer without heavy maintenance. And it's not an AI or something, you might see it yourself, so local eyewitnesses has filmed this small volcano there. Oh, it's not a small one actually, the cloud is kind of big. There are also oil storages and oil infrastructure which is very sensitive. I mean those refining towers and so on, distillation units. Ukraine just aims to create a huge fuel crisis in Russia, and Russia is looking eagerly for alternatives, like for example they want to get even fuel from Turkey, a NATO member country, but they will not be capable to compensate their needs. Well, at least in a short up to middle term perspective. In the long term, Ukraine has the chance to create a really significant crisis in Russia if those strikes continue. Yeah. Wildberries in Kotovsk went on fire. Well, the same Wildberries was hit even before, but yesterday it was completely finished with the fire. So there were some of the goods, and the place where it was hit is actually not that far from the refinery, which I just showed you. So Ukraine concentrates the strikes in one specific spot, looking for any sort of the targets. Usually those are Wildberries, ozone, or refineries. Yeah, the whole storage went to volcano. It's on fire, it's no go any longer. Wildberries has lost so many warehouses that it is just crazy. Oh, just look at this. It's for sale, by the way. Продается means for sale. Well, the sign refers to the local land, not to Wildberries warehouse, but anyways, it looks interesting. Russia tried to use some of the helis to eliminate the fire, but it doesn't work at this scale of the fire itself, so it will just burn down. It already burned down, and minus one more Wildberries for Wildberries. And here we have the scale of the fire from the wider perspective. Движуха is happening in Russia. I guess Putin is pretty much satisfied with the action. Meanwhile, the Amursky gas station that was hit the day before yesterday is still on fire. It was partially destroyed. Lots of the workers are still deployed there, but fire continues and it's very hard to eliminate it. You see the devastation down to the building. It looks kind of interesting. Well, for the last couple of days, at least 16 of the Russian infrastructure objects were visited by Ukrainian drones. They either were damaged or completely lost for Russia, as it happened with this Wildberries storage. My friends, just a short reminder, please smash your like to this video just right now and subscribe to the channel. Also, if you can, you may support my job on Patreon and membership of YouTube. Guys, you're just amazing, you're awesome, and let's continue with the video. Yeah, the Wildberries situation doesn't look great, absolutely. Well, they still have some of the warehouses quite far away. They're barely reachable or not reachable at all by Ukrainian drones. But even with what they've lost, I think organization cannot survive in the form it used to be. The previous logistics is simply not possible without huge warehouses on the European part of Russia where most of the people live. By the way, Putin plays out the situation in his favor, or at least he tries. For example, he came out with decree saying that if particular company is unable to provide security for its own infrastructure, it means that Russian government may apply temporary ruling over the company to provide safety and security of its own operation. So now Russia may announce any sort of the private company, any sort of the business that it doesn't fit the safety standards of Russian empire, and it should be taken by the Russian government. And I guess I know the reason why it is done like that. It is not a secret that Putin demands money from the Russian oligarchs to fuel the war. But oligarchs, they're scared, they're moving money out of Russia, investing in the countries where they haven't yet been sanctioned, and Putin doesn't like this stuff. So with this executive order he released, he threatens those oligarchs-businessmen that we're gonna take everything from you. If you refuse to voluntarily support Russian military in this endless war, we're gonna find out that you cannot provide security, safety for your own infrastructure, and we're gonna take it from you. So we're gonna receive money in any sort of the case. Win-win scenario for Vladimir Putin, and he uses Ukrainian strikes as an excuse to implement complete Tsar ruling in Russia. I mean, he already did it for ordinary Russians, but now it's time for the Russian oligarchs. It has never been like that, and I believe that there will be more enemies among those powerful people, Russian elite, but at the same time I see that they're quite scared of Putin and his close circle of FSB. Kind of the interesting strike happened yesterday in Donetsk, an occupied Ukrainian city, the biggest one Russia actually managed to occupy in 2014 with the help of separatists and the Russian regular army. So yesterday, several of the missiles hit the Russian army facility, basically their barracks in Donetsk. Donetsk is the big Russian military hub, yet civilians also live there, but for Russians those are just human shield. It has already been confirmed by even Russian mil bloggers that it was definitely the Russian military branch with army personnel. And this is the part of the missile which they found. Well, those are the houses nearby, yes, but the facility itself belonged to the Russian military. Those are not the residential houses. Yeah, sometimes I use AI for translation, so we have the screenshot also published by Exile Nova on their channel. I just asked for the translation in English. So Russians say that military vehicles were blown up on the road from the city of Tamanskaya side. I went out on the street and saw the guys. You beat them up. Well, translation is terrible. So there were injured personnel. There were 6 rockets arrival, so Russians used slang, and it's kind of hard, I guess, for even ChatGPT to translate it correctly. Here they're actually not saying about vehicles, they're saying about military across the road from the city in Tamansky. Also, they write here that no one should say about military personnel. I also monitored the Russian official propaganda media. Initially, they reported about civilians there, but later on, they deleted the information entirely. And here's the scale of the destruction. The local institute building, this is the ex-institute of some of the technologies, was hit, and it was used as the Russian military base, so it's not the civilian building. Russians also found this mark in MBDA, France, it looks like, so maybe those are Scalp missiles even, or some of the gliding bombs. By the way, speaking about France and Italy, they're willing to send more of the air defense systems and missiles for Ukraine. Those are not PAC-3, but they're also important. Like, for example, we're speaking about SAM-T, air defense, and Rome is ready to take the first batch of Aster-30 interceptors from its armed forces and send them to Ukraine by October. Moreover, they're looking to produce Aster-30 missiles directly in Ukraine. Well, that's the problem, because Russia strikes Ukraine, and there are no safe areas, no safe places. Russia, with its, for example, Iskander-M ballistic missile system, is capable to reach all of the Ukraine. That's why, for example, the Firepoint company is looking to produce its engines not in Ukraine, but in Denmark. So I hope that they calculate the risks. The cost of the package is about 3 billion euros. The cost will be covered by a 90 billion euro loan for Ukraine. Ukraine has just obtained some of the percentage of this loan for their own drone production and for missile programs, but we see that this loan is also used for European producers, and it's been confirmed that the part of the program will be used for Ukraine to obtain Gripen fighter jets, so vast part of this loan stays in Europe. I would say it's the same with the military support from the United States of America under the previous administration. It was also fueling the American economy with production in the United States of America. Ukraine also works with the mid-range strikes, like, for example, this drone, it hit one of the vehicles on occupied territories, and you may say, oh, this is just a civilian vehicle with some of them, maybe family or someone, but no, we got the information, or sorry, our guys received the information about the Russian military moving on those vehicles, and definitely it was confirmed that in this car there were some of the Russian militants, and let me show you. So this Russian soldier says that he was touched by a Ukrainian drone, and here is his vehicle, exactly the same one that was hit. And here's the photo of the same guy in the social media. What? Okay. But of course, Russian officials, including Prick Rogozin, say that Ukraine hits civilian vehicles. Of course, that guy was definitely a civilian one. Well, actually, in most of the cases, Russians are using civilian transport. That also creates the problem for Ukraine to particularly identify the target, whether those are Russian soldiers or not. They use a lot of vehicles, they use everything, especially when they move in the long distances, including R280 road that goes through all of the occupied southern regions of Ukraine, and Russia also supplies its military cargo using commercial transport. And meanwhile, strikes are also happening in Ukraine. You might see two of the fire regions over there. We might judge it on the smoke coming, and this is Boryspil, again my hometown where I used to live before. Yeah, I was born in Crimea, but I used to live in Boryspil. So in this war of attrition, Russia also escalates. Now it hits refueling stations, trade malls, and so on. For this year, unfortunately, there are many more casualties and more of the long-range strikes. So Ukraine absolutely needs the air defense, but for now there are no reliable tools of how to protect Ukraine from the Russian ballistic missile strikes or from Russian jet drones. And Putin is going to increase the strikes on Ukraine, especially during the winter campaign. I already explained you why, and you know it yourself, that this winter is going to be really terrible for Ukraine, unfortunately. Yeah, this is the Boryspil train station, and there is the fire behind. Yeah, I know this place very well. I used to refuel my car there. So it's not exactly in Boryspil, it's a little bit outside. I believe that this thing is on fire. Focus Distribution and Beher Group, I think this one, because here is the gas station we saw and the camera was pointing to this direction, and here's the train station. Also the smoke was coming from the same side. Yeah, almost sure about it. The warehouse there is really huge. Our experts are saying that Putin is considering heavier ballistic missile strikes on Kiev, including the city center, plus the infrastructure in different Ukrainian cities. Bloomberg also reports about it. They also report the growing number of Russian officials believe Putin could use a tactical nuclear weapon. But at the same time, in the same article, they say that for now they don't see that Putin is getting ready to use nuclear weapons. Alright. Key Russian partners, including China and India, have reportedly warned Putin against even considering such a step. Well, Russia may escalate still with more ballistics, and they're going to use the heavy North Korean ballistic missile system, probably the heaviest one out there, with a standard conventional warhead. So reportedly, Russia receives North Korean Hwasong-11C ballistic missile for first time. Ukraine officials again say about it, well, this missile is huge, humongous. It was designed to carry nuclear warhead or warheads, but it also could be equipped with just tons of TNT, the standard explosives, and it could be like a huge aviation bomb. We know that Russia uses already North Korean missiles like Han-23 and 22, and about Hwasong, maybe they're gonna test those, who knows? Maybe this information is not correct. We'll see in the coming future. Now I'd say the main pain in the arse for Russia that Ukraine continue the proper supply of the group in eastern part of Ukraine, also in Kharkiv region, but there is also the vulnerability for Ukraine. You see the river of Dnipro, it is very wide, and there are just several of the crossings that Ukraine uses constantly. Most of those, by the way, are in Kiev, I mean those bridges. Also, there is the dam in Kiev, in Cherkasy, there is the huge bridge. By the way, it was hit already in 2022, at least partially. There is the train connection. Kremenchuk Dam, Dnipro, Zaporizhia, the Nova Kakhovka Dam that was already destroyed, Kherson Bridge that was destroyed. So I guess the strategic idea for Russia is to cut those bridges. But they don't have tools to do it. The drone strikes will not hurt those massive bridges. Ballistic missiles, cruise missiles, yes, but also they do not carry lots of the TNT, so Ukraine may repair those bridges very fast. And for example, if we take the bridge in Zatoka that Russia tries to eliminate for already very long time, despite all of those Russian cruise missile strikes on it, it's still out there, yeah, heavily damaged, but it is functioning. So probably with that Hwasong, Russia is looking for the possible variants of how to destroy Ukrainian bridges across the Dnipro River. And when Bloomberg says about the tactical nukes, well, those are probably the only tools which could also destroy those bridges by 100%. But whether Russia is going to use nuclears, on capital city of Ukraine, highly dense populated city. I don't think so. Honestly, Russia would lose the last allies in this world, maybe except North Korea. I guess in this case, China will be even forced to implement sanctions on Russia, India, because it's no go, it's too much. So I guess the situation in the coming years could be way more difficult, and there are no any signs for the war to end. Moreover, I believe it's going to escalate, and we're gonna speak about it in the next video. Yeah, with this visit of CIA director to Russia, we have more information published and some of the actual actions from Russia telling that it's not gonna stop, it's gonna explode even more. My friends, anyways, let's keep positive, and thank you so much for watching my videos. And also, if you can, you may support my job on Patreon. The link for it is in the video description right below, or you may join membership of YouTube channel by pressing button. Join my friends, you're just awesome. Thank you so much for making this content possible. And also smash your likes to this video, subscribe to the channel. I wish you all a peaceful sky wherever you are, and have a great time.